So I have sketched a face here, a lady. If you want to do faces, tracing is probably not the best because faces is mostly shadows than lines. So it's really hard to find the line or the edge of the shadow because sometimes it's, it's the edge is quite blurry. So if you want to do faces, you want to start out with faces, I would use the gridding technique. So you take a photo or print out a photocopy of your face and you do even grids. So you grid it vertically, horizontally and vertically. So then you do the same grid on your work as the photocopy. So you're only working off one little square at a time. So you draw the line, where it comes in the square, you just copy it on your work. So the colours you use for faces in particular are burnt umber, light red, which is a brownish coloured red, Naples yellow, and Chinese white or white, but not gouache white. That's a bit of a chalky kind of white. You don't use gouache for your whites for your faces. It's more like a neon white gouache. So for the men, you use more burnt umber. The light red brings in the pinks, and the Naples yellow brings out the cooler tones of your face, like up around over the eyes, down the side of the nose. You've got cooler areas. Hands has a lot of yellow in it, if you're Caucasian, of course. So light red and Chinese white is a lot for the ladies with a lot of yellow, and then you bring in a lot of burnt umber to do your men as well. For your shadows, you grab your Payne's grey, which is that's ultramarine brut, so or grey for Louvre, but Payne's grey is mostly the one that you use for shadows. It's a very blue in colour, so that's Payne's grey there. So you can see it's blue, and that mixes with your light red, and that makes like a purpley kind of colour, and that's purple is used for shadows. So you don't need to use black. Don't hardly ever use black to darken colours with, because that just kills your colour, makes your colour so muddy. So use Payne's grey for your darkenings, and your Chinese white, which is sort of like a very soft white. That there, you can see the difference. That's gouache white. There you see it's very chalky, very brilliant in colour. And that there is your Chinese white. It's got a bit of Naples yellow on it, and as you can see, it's not as brilliant, and it makes a very softer lightening of your colours. Alright, I think I'll work on her blouse. Okay, the bigger your brush gets, the more water it holds. For the base colour of her blouse. So when you're mixing your colours, get your whites all used up. So if you're mixing it on your plate, for example, you actually pull your brush across and let the drop go down into your colour. So if you're lightening this over here, you get it full, and then you squeeze your brush out and it'll go down into your colour that you're being used. Save you from getting the white, mixing, washing your water, going back to the white, mixing. You just squeeze it out and just let the white drop down into. Or you can do this. Okay. That's a bit better. So if you're doing a wash, you have it really runny. And sometimes you can add a light bit of water into the paper and then wash into it. So, but I'm not going to bother. So wash as you ease the paint, the pigment down your board. It's nice to have a bit of an angle of your board so that it flows downwards. And you can get your arm shadow in a little bit later. Add more colour as you go. And you just ease your colour down. See, I'm following the sections of the shirt. I'm not just doing it all pink. I'm also following the sections because it adds a nice little line. With your surface tension of the water, your colour goes to the edge of the water where it is. It's like surface tension. And it makes a nice little line there for you. As you can see, I'm going strokes like this, stroking down or stroking across, and then lifting my brush after each stroke. I'm not going like that. Now, as you can see, it's bubbled. So first rinse, second rinse, and then I like to always blot the water out to make a point back onto my brush. And the paper, of course, is bubbled, but you use your hairdryer. That is done. So it works similar to an iron. It heats the cotton fibres, and you can gently push it down and make sure your fingers are clean, of course. And it pushes down just nicely. Watercolour works differently to oils. Watercolour, the colour bleeds. You tend to mix your colours off the paper, whereas with oils you can actually mix the colours on your work. So it works a little bit differently. And it's very trial and error. Watercolour till you get used to it. The way that it reacts and behaves with the surface tension of your water. Naples yellow. It's a beautiful colour. It's one of my favourites. It's a nice soft yellow. It has so many different applications with painting. You mix it with sap green to make grass. It goes into the shadings of your faces. It's a beautiful soft colour. Very versatile. As you can see, I'm putting in the lighter shades, and then I'm going to bring in the darker strands of hair over the top. Dark on light. Where you want the colour to bleed in, add a bit of water, and then add the colour you want to bleed into the water. Until you're happy, which I'm not quite. The colour just bleeds in. Add too much water, then that means the tension of the surface of the water pushes your paint out to the edge of the water, and sometimes that's not a very, very nice effect, but other times it's lovely. It just depends on what you like. Okay, I was looking at this last night and I've come back this morning and I've worked out what's wrong with the blouse. It's too far out. It needs to come down more this way, so I will try and correct that now. Now that I've semi-corrected the blouse, I'll go back to the ear, which is a combination of light red and burnt umber, and not much of the Naples yellow, because it is a very dark inner ear colour. So it comes in with a very dark colour like that. Alright, the colour is blending at the moment, bleeding into each other. I don't want that, so you dry it. Alright, the rest of the ear does have a hint of Naples yellow in it. And I've had some Naples yellow there from before. In there. There's just a hint of red at the join of the ear to the face. So while it's still wet, you add the colour in, the red, and it will blend in or bleed in. Okay, I'm going to do some black in around here to give definition to the ear and the neck, and then that melds into skin tone and eases into back into the burnt umber of the hair. So when you're getting out some new colour, black is called jet black. Fluff. You only need a little bit of it, and you push it down like that. And sometimes when you squeeze the tube the opposite spot to where you are pushing, like I was pushing here, if you push on the opposite, it sucks that paint back in, which it did. Always keep your thread clean, otherwise after a while it can get dry and very stuck, the lid that is. So keep your tube tops clean, otherwise they will break when you're trying to get it off. Alright, let's make sure we get the ear right, because once black is down, that's it. I don't think it's flat enough at the bottom. Ooh. Let's see what I can do. Don't have too much water in there, otherwise it will bleed into your ear. The slightest bit of water. And sometimes this piece of equipment helps, particularly when you've got eyes like mine. So I'm not too sure where the shadow comes in here. So what I'm going to do is just going to wash it out a little. make the edge not quite so sharp so that I can meld it in to the next colour. Now when you do the face, check your subject image, find all of the light areas, so where the light is hitting the face. For example, I have here the light coming from above here, coming this way because of the light on the hair here. The light is on her blouse on that side, so the majority of the light is coming from this way on that side of her, of the face. There is also some light coming from behind here, noted a little bit of light here. That's coming from this way. Just a little bit because obviously her face is there. I may actually remove that and change it to over here. It depends on how the face pans out in terms of the shadows. So I've got some light coming in here which is hitting all the highlights in her hair. So with my subject, the light is on this side of the face, down here, on the back of her hand, and down her arm here. So when you're deciding where to start on the face, my suggestion is you start in the light areas. So you do the light areas first, and then you slowly bleed in your shadows into the face, and you do the darkest areas last. Like for instance, there'll be the neck, so you do the neck last because you're not too sure on how dark the neck needs to be in comparison with the light areas. So if you start this first, you could make it too dark, or perhaps the shadows are too light, which can be easily fixed. But if it's too dark, then you're going to be a bit of a struggle. So as you go down from the light areas and you practice putting in the shadows of your cheek and down around the nose and underneath the chin, there's a shadow down in here. As you go down, you'll get to know what depth your shadow of your neck will be in comparison to the back of the face from where your light is coming. And before you start, you have all of your colours ready to go. So it's a wash, like I was doing here. It's a wash, and you put adding wet and wet. That is a big one. mostly for the men, but I'll only be using a little bit of this. Remember, your shadows is Payne's Grey, which is over here. That there is Payne's Grey. It doesn't look like it, but as you pull it out, you see how it's blue in colour? That comes into your shadow, and you mix that with your light red to do shadows. But I'll be mostly putting in the shadows in afterwards, so I won't be using that quite as much yet for the face. Alright, that's for the red areas of the face. Add a touch of the brown, or the burnt umber. Alright, bring in for the lady your red, light red, and your Naples yellow, and then you lighten it with the white to get that pinky colour. Now the Naples yellow is for the cool areas of the face. For example, cool areas of the face is down the nose, part of the cheek, and up on the forehead, particularly around the light areas where the light is hitting. There. And when you've got them all mixed, they're all ready to go to grab whatever colour you need as you go down the face. So that's a good colour for your light areas, that one. And there's lots of little bits in my brush. I think I better change my water. Okay, so what I've used for that is I've used the light red, Naples yellow, and the white, which makes that soft pinky colour. And I really do need my water cleaned out. Change over my blotch pad. Some bits can be on there as well. Alright, let's do this. Okay, my lady, you're about to come into existence. Now you notice I haven't done the background next to her face. I've done that for the reason being that I can actually get the background looking different or darker than the light patch here on her forehead. So I did that first, and the face actually in that part might actually work out looking the same as the background. So I've left the background out so that I can use the background to define the face after it's done. So block in your main colour areas first, and then add your detail of your shadows later. So at the moment I'm doing the light pinky colours of the face. have the sketch there photographed because I'm going to take off those tears because I have it already here, taken a photograph of it so I can easily put them back. But I don't want the graphite pencil to muddy the paint and distort where the tear is going. I want to destroy it because the tear is one of the most important parts of this particular image. I don't want to ruin it. So when you're doing the eye, think of it as little patches of colour or shaped colour. Don't view it as a whole eye itself, otherwise you'll get confused, and eyes are hard enough as it is without having to look at it as a whole. So break it up into parts and add the colour in the shape that it's in. And with a bit of practice, which I am still doing after all this time, you'll get there. Alright, do the eyebrow first. Now this eye has two tears coming out. There's a new tear coming out from the corner, so I'll be putting some light bubbles which will indicate water, the blurriness of water. The tear of this one's down here, so the bubbleness will be finished up on this side of the eye, so I won't need any bubbles there. let's make sure she is looking in the right direction, which is towards the hand. Okay, now her eye is going to be full of water, tear, which will make the pupil a little fuzzy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break up the edge just a little bit. is wrong. I'm thinking it's got her hand, but looks like somebody else's arm because it's coming out too far, too quickly. It needs to come down more and then out. It's going to be a pain fixing that. Here we go. Now once you've finished it, it's always a good idea to put it in a position in the home, like in the kitchen or in your bedroom, somewhere where you can look at it for about a week, pick up on any mistakes that you may find, and then once you're satisfied, I usually sign it off and I don't touch it after that. That stops me from fussing. Sometimes the more you fuss, the worse it gets. So go over it with a magnifying glass because you will be surprised at how much grit and dirt gets stuck on the paper, and bits of hair and brush. And that's pretty pedantic of me, but I like to do it. Now comes one of the most enjoyable parts, is taking off the masking tape and revealing. It's always exciting. And when you do this, you do it at an angle. It doesn't matter quite so much with watercolour because there's not much of a skin there. You peel it off at an angle like that, so you break the seal of the paint. With oils, you need to be a little bit more careful because you have layer upon layer and skin upon skin, and if you're not gentle with it, you can tear into your work. And there's not a little bit of gook. I didn't spot. Come on, get off. Thank you. Oh, this is so good. When you're using your scissors, don't join your tips of your scissors. Just cut it to a point and then move. Don't go like that because you leave a little jar. So a smooth, straight cut. Don't join your scissors at the tip. Or you can use guillotine or paper knife with a ruler. done.